Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the AUSNZ Community Podcast. This is episode 3 of season 2 of the podcast. This is your host, Jack Rabbit, saying good day and welcome to our listeners. Welcome also to two of my favorite podcast hosts, Eve and Pete. How are you both?
Oh, doing amazing, doing amazing. I'm not sure which one's the favourite, Pete. Is it me or you?
Oh, I guess we'll
Equally
just have to
favorite.
find out.
Equally favourite. Oh,
Equally
I don't know.
favorite.
I don't think I could do 50-50.
Oh, sometimes you
Yeah.
and sometimes Pete. It depends. I'm just kidding.
No, no. All good, all good.
How are you, Pete?
I am good. I'm very good. I've
Okay.
had a bit of a nap today, so I'm full of energy.
Ah, naps are great. Naps are great. And
Oh, they're
also
so good.
welcome to the podcast. Our special guest for today, Lady Aine. How are you?
I'm really great, JR. Thanks.
Okay, we're so glad to have you here. But before
Oh,
anything else, we would like to mention about the recent podcast episode that we launched on YouTube and Spotify with the Fingersoft community managers. It has been a great episode. And we would like to thank our listeners for always tuning in to the podcast. I think Eve and Pete would like to say something.
Well, the comments on the YouTube channel have been really amazing. It's been really good to hear voices from our listeners telling us what they like, what they don't, and also being able to reply to them and say, hey, keep listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you are listening. We had a record number of listeners, and it would have been great to have even more subscribers. So look out for the new episodes where we've got more exciting stuff coming along. So
hmm
don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast channel so you can hear our newest updates as they come out.
As they say on YouTube,
Oh, yeah.
smash that like button.
Yes. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for today's episode, of course we have our little segments, and then we will go on with um interviewing Lady Aine, our special guest for this episode. So maybe I'd like to start with Eva. What would you be talking about on this episode?
Uh, I love the bus. I'm being thrown under the bus.
Yes, of
Um,
course.
It's the best place to
well,
be.
it's the best place
Yeah,
to be.
seniority first. Sorry.
I'm so used to being under here that the underside of the bus is clean, it's dry, and
Ah,
it's warm because the exhaust is here. So, no, I wanted to briefly mention. I mean, I briefly mentioned DeBell in the last episode as a bit of tongue in cheek with Reese, and I just wanted to mention him again today. His adventure abilities has gone through the roof. He's in 4th place in total. He's got over 300 10K star maps now. I've watched a few of his videos. You should probably go out and find him on YouTube. His YouTube videos are very informative, help you with lots of things. So by all means, go out and have a look. The other thing I quickly wanted to talk about was playing on the team Extreme Speed with Lapita. It's been almost a month of being on their team as a guest. It's been a great experience. I've really enjoyed it. It's been good to be able to go back to grassroots and just play the game for playing the game's sake. But also, Lapita and I have put some tips in their channels, on their Discord channels, to help with the lower GP players play the game, and we had some strategies for that as well, which was really cool. So it's been great to be on that team. I think I have a funny feeling I'm going to be doing a month with Team Canada, or not Team Canada, with just Canada next.
mhm.
But I haven't confirmed that with the leader, and I thought I might just reach out and see if they would have me.
So, lady, would you have it?
I said, yeah, I would absolutely love to have you.
Cool. Well, once the month end finishes, I will switch over. I'll come over and have a month with Canada, which will be good. Looking forward to it.
That would be so amazing.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it for me. Sorry, I've been very, very, very quiet. I've had a very busy couple of weeks, so I've been not really concentrating on stuff. So here we are.
All good.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. So we'll go on next to Pete with his events.
Now
Public
I must
Thank
sort
you
must
for
say
calling it my events.
we did
Your
have
event.
we did
Uh-huh.
have some suggestions, but most of them weren't PG. So we'll keep those suggestions for the naming of Pete's events to ourselves for the short term. But yes, thank you for all those who contributed. But we did need to keep it PG. Sorry.
Yeah. We do.
What was your favourite one?
I can't say.
You can bleep it out.
If I say it, I have.
And we're really good
If
though.
I say it, I have to bleep it out anyway. So, what's the point?
All right. So I'll start off today with the public event. This week's public event is called Bill's Last Tour, and I don't know what that means. Is Bill going to be going away? There's only one vehicle available, and that is the Hill Climber. And you have every part in your garage, so there's no restrictions. If you have max, then that's awesome. If you don't, then that's unfortunate. Yeah, it's a time attack sort of event, and I suck at time attacks. I've only been getting small amounts of scores. That's okay. You get that.
But it's time attack on the old tracks, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
When I say old tracks, I mean tracks that replicate Hillclimb 1.
Yeah. Yeah, so nobody really knows them, but that's okay.
Yep.
You did get a couple of them in team events every now and then. But
Yep.
yeah, they're all new to me. Team events. That one is called Tilted Turnover, and it is a 4-track event with 5 vehicles available. Track 1 is a time attack, and I have been using the Superbike with Start Boost, Afterburner, and Coin Boost. And I've watched a few videos, and the pros seem to be using a different strategy, which is Sports Car, Afterburner, Coin Boost, and Landing Boost. We're getting similar times with the Sports Car and Superbike, but they use the Superbike somewhere else and it's just swapped around, which means they get a better score. Track 2 is a wheelie track, and I've been using the Super Diesel with wheelie boost, wings, and magnet, because that fuel that's tucked away in a little crevice is really hard to get. I don't know if you guys are using magnet as well.
Yeah, I am.
Every time I've tried not using it, I've just missed it and then, failed miserably. But the pros are using the same vehicle with wings, coin boost, and wheelie boost, and they managed to somehow just land on it. Yeah, I can't do that, but never mind. Track 3 is a time attack track with, I'm using sports car, afterburner, coin boost, and fuel boost. I can't remember the name of the track, but it's an underwater track, and you've got to go through all these tunnels and then dodge the submarine, which I know for a fact that Eva's having trouble dodging that submarine.
Well, it's in Deep Dive. It's one of the Deep Dive tracks. Yeah. And it's a pain in the backside.
It is a pain in the backside. I've worked out a way to dodge it using the sports car, and I'd turn up all my downforce to about 15 or 16, not all the way.
Yeah.
So I went over it and then nosedive downwards to try and hit the downhill ramp and then go up into the tunnel, which works out most of the time. Every now and then I nosedive into the submarine and do a flip and just fail. But the pros are using the Superbike here with start boost, afterburner, and coin boost. Track 4 is a cargo track, and I've been using the lowrider, afterburner, coin boost, and fuel boost. Thank you, Eva, for that tip. And the pros are using the same vehicle with start boost, afterburner, and coin boost. There's only a little bit of difference in scores. I'm getting 21k, whereas the pros are getting around 37 to 38. Just a slight difference.
Close.
But yeah, that's my team events and public events. If anybody has some notes they'd like to add, no?
Well, I'd like to know how to not lose 1 or 2 cans when going over that first bump.
Jumping. You got to jump a little bit before it, but don't have your jump. Oh, what are they called? Not jump shocks. Suspension, I suppose.
Yeah.
Don't have it up too high, so you don't jump up and hit the roof.
Oh, okay. Because I did hit the roof when I tried.
Yeah, you got to downgrade them.
Okay.
And yeah,
Thanks.
no worries. Anything else?
I said, yeah, can you do it for me?
No,
No.
I can't quite get there. Sorry. My arms aren't that long.
If only, right? I would ask myself also. I would ask Pete to do it for me, but that's not really possible. Oh, okay. So thank you for that, Pete. So actually, for this episode, I did not really have anything much to discuss because I was looking forward to having the update. I would be talking about that when I have it, but unfortunately, I don't have it. It has been how many days? I still don't have the update. Do you guys have the update?
No, I don't have the update on my alt.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
yes, I do on both accounts. And
on
my
both
son's
accounts.
phone
Oh,
also has it.
oh, Lady Aine,
So
do you have the update?
I do not have it on either account.
Yeah,
oof.
so I'm still waiting, Everyone's excited. And I'm also excited. I'm still waiting. So what can we do? We'll just wait.
Everybody should have it by Tuesday.
Oh, by
Yeah.
Tuesday.
People keep posting their new tracks, and I want to try them.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we
Agreed.
do. Yeah.
Agreed.
So I was reading on the HillClimb Racing Discord server, and I found some new channels. And the name is HR2 Track Editor, and it has sub channels, which are staff pick, share your levels, share cool levels where you can share someone else's level. And then there's there's the sub channel which is called early access bugs and the feature request and feedback channel. So yeah, I think this will be helpful for us if we all have the update and enjoy the level editor. Do you guys enjoy the level editor, Pete and Eva?
Well, I haven't played with it yet.
Yeah, I don't have access to it because I don't have VIP yet.
Oh,
I say
okay.
yet like I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
I'm still free to play, so I'm going to try and keep that streak and just mooch off everybody else's awesome tracks.
Mhm.
I haven't rejoined VIP.
Mhm.
Plan is to do it when I've actually got some time on my hands. So this week coming up is probably when I'm going to start rejoin VIP and get the track editor working and start doing some tracks. So yeah, looking forward to having a play.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. What about
Yep.
the other aspect of the update? Since I don't have it yet, what about the nitro boost? Have you got them?
I've only got Nitro Boost on one car. I don't even know which one. I can't remember. To be honest, I got the update Tuesday or Wednesday, and I have had very little play time because of just a whole lot going on. So,
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Same
And what
thing.
about you, Pete? How many
Yeah,
nitro
same.
boosts have you got?
I've actually got none. I haven't had a single one.
Okay.
I haven't been keeping an eye on the shop where they have
Mm-hmm.
been
Yeah.
popping up for certain vehicles, but
Yeah.
I just don't have the time lately. It's been so
Yeah,
busy.
yeah.
Mm,
Let's start chest hunting. Let's start
yeah,
chest hunting, yeah, for the nitro boost, yeah.
I think maybe next season I'll have to finish the season to 50
Yeah,
grand.
finish the road to legendary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you have the legendary chest. So that will be helpful. That's all for our segments. Now we'd be asking Lady Aine, asking how she discovered the game, asking her previous teams, and when did you start playing Hill Climb Racing 2?
Well, I know it was before COVID started because I remember thinking, when am I going to have enough time to play the game? And then all of a sudden, all I had was time to play the game.
Yeah, I think all of us have a little bit of time on our hands back then. Did you play HAR1?
I did not.
Just before we go any further, do you want to give Lady Aine a really nice introduction?
Oh, I forgot that part. Sorry. I guess I jumped. I was excited to talk to her.
I'm excited too. Let's go.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
But we'll
It
have to
happened to me
redo
too,
the
so don't worry.
yeah, we'll have to redo the whole thing. I'm actually going to ask you a little bit, Eva, because actually you introduced Lady into us.
I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Lady Aine, someone I met through the Club of Leaders channel and being on OnlyFans for a short term for the month. Really, really warm welcome to her. She's very accommodating, very friendly, very helpful. I'm looking forward to playing on her team. She's the leader of Canada, and look forward to being amongst it and having some fun. So, welcome to the podcast, Lady Aine. How are you?
Thanks, Eva. I'm so excited to be here. I'm doing really good. Thanks.
We're really glad to have you on the podcast, and not just on the podcast. I must say, we are glad to have you in the AUSNZ server, and we are glad to have you in Team 3 because your alt account is in Team 3.
It is, and I have learned a lot.
It has been very fun having you in our team and in the server and here finally on the podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us a little bit something about yourself. How did you start playing the game? Did you ever play HCR one, and what teams you've been on?
I did not play ACR1. I actually didn't even consider playing any kind of video games because of my vision problems. But
Mm-hmm.
my husband played the game, and I could not understand why he was always late coming to dinner and why, if I asked him even a simple yes or no question, he couldn't answer me. And why, if I tried to persist, he would say, "You made me die," or "I had to kill myself." So I wanted to know, I wanted to know what this game was that was coming between us in our relationship. So I downloaded it.
So he played ahead of you, like for how long has he been playing before you downloaded the game?
I don't know. It was a while. I mean, I had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
patience and I would get really frustrated. So it was a while. And one
Mm.
thing that I know right away is that the game has a pause button.
No comment.
The only problem with that pause button is when you press play again, you always die. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you try and pause it and then keep going, it's just instant death.
Okay, but if I've spent all my time making a wonderful meal, just push that pause button.
No time. You got to keep going.
Anyway, obvious, I got addicted to the game,
Yeah, go on.
and now I play the game.
Yes. And now you know
Yeah.
the struggles of the pause button.
The pause button is actually mom friendly. You know, like you have to do chores at home, you just pause it for a little bit, go on with your chores, and go back to the game. Right, Lady Aine?
That was a really good point because I feel like I'm expected to be able to cook, clean, and hold an entire conversation while I play the event.
That's pretty skilled to be able to cook and play hill climb.
I
No,
would like
trust
to
me.
hear comments
Yeah.
from other women who play the game if they're kind of expected to do that too.
Trust me, before I was ironing clothes, playing a playing a cup race, then iron clothes, then playing a cup race, and go on and on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, which teams have you been on during your entire time that you've been playing the game?
Well, I don't remember the name of the first team that I was on, but I did find that it wasn't fun. It was really stressful. And since my husband was on a different team and he didn't seem to have the
Mhm.
same kind of stress, I went looking for a different team and I ended up on Team Scotland, where I had a lot of fun. But then there were some changes, some people that left, some people that came, and finally I decided that I think my time was up there. So I went to find Canadian team, and that's how I found Team Canada.
Oh, so you didn't
You,
create Team Canada?
yeah, that was.
Oh no. Actually, we were one team. Just we were just called Canada, and then over the years that has changed and become a group of teams.
I see.
And
Is
your
there a
and your
Team Canada instead of just plain old Canada?
There is a Team
Yeah.
Canada, but okay, so there was one team, and then it became two teams, and then it became three teams. And I was playing on Team One, and Team Three reached out and needed some help to stay in the division that they were in. So I
yeah.
volunteered to go to Team Three, and what I really enjoyed about Team Three was all of the new players that were there. They all had questions, and I was able to answer their questions and help them improve their game. And that wasn't something that I got out of Team One because we were bouncing between Division One and CC all the time, so no one needed any help. So I felt a lot more useful on Team Three, and so I
Yes.
decided to stay there. And then the leader of Team Three went dark, and so Shredder, if you're listening, we all want to know if you're okay. We haven't heard anything, so I ended up taking over that team, and then there was a huge merge between Alliance Quebec, Too Much Clutch, and Canada. And basically, all of the players from those three teams that wanted to play at a CC level took out went into our Canada 1 team. And so then our Team 2 and Team 3 just became two Division 1 teams, where we are now.
Nice.
That's a lot
Excellent.
of moving. That's a lot of moving. But it happens to us too in AUSNZ, so that's relatable. My question is, you live in France, right? But you play in
Yes.
Team Canada. Did you not want to join any team from in France?
I really like being able to speak English and have the same
Mm.
cultural
Me too.
references.
Mhm.
It gives me some time to kind of be with people that understand what I'm saying. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that I
yeah.
don't French. It's just that the cultural references are different. Like if we're going to quote a movie, usually I know those quotes in English, and it's different. So I really enjoy being able to be with Canadians for part of my day.
Mhm. Could I just ask, sorry, what's your nationality? That's my main question.
Are you French Canadian or French
Yeah.
Canadian?
I actually have dual citizenship. I am Canadian from the English side. I was born near Vancouver.
Hmm.
But I also have an Italian citizenship. So that allows me to live and work in Europe.
Then you resided in France.
Yes, well,
Yeah. Okay. Maybe Eva, do you have any question?
I'm just going to quickly touch back on something. You said something about
Yeah.
being visually impaired. Do you have a driver's license?
well, I have an in-game driver's license.
Yeah, but that's what I was trying to mean. That's what I was getting at. You don't have a driver's license to drive a car legally.
No, I mean I did have one when I could see, but now I am not eligible for a driver's license.
Right. Okay. So
Mhm.
the obvious question is then, how do you play a visual game on a tablet or phone or whatever?
Well, with a lot of patience. I I recently got a new phone, and Well, it was a Christmas gift, and it was very thoughtful of my husband to consider my abilities because he didn't get me the newest version of the phone, an older version of the phone. But he got me a Pixel because I love to take pictures of dogs, and he saw that the newer versions were bigger. And my vision is, I mean, I can see correctly, but I only have a small amount of vision, so it's like looking through straws. So I can see a lot better on my phone than I can on a TV.
Yep.
Mm.
That would be
Fair
so
enough.
frustrating.
Well, I can give you some examples. Like when I do a perfect start, I have to look at the numbers, the countdown. And so I count down with it to get the timing right. And just before it hits one, I switch my vision to the RPM meter so that I can get it in that red zone when it hits one. I can't see the numbers and the RPM meter at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Okay. Wow. That's very, very, very interesting.
Yeah,
It is.
It does become a challenge.
I bet.
But you know, there's some people on my team who have been really helpful, especially when I'm posting tips and they say something like, look at the spot where there's a bush, or base it on when you see wheelie or something. And I'll say, okay, can you please post a screenshot and point out where that is? Because there's no way that I can watch my car and find whatever spot they're talking about at the same time. So they'll post a screenshot and they'll show me. And so I know when I get to that point in the game, I have to shift my vision to something else.
Wow. Okay. That sounds like a lot of concentration.
Mm-hmm.
And
Do you?
Well,
skill.
it was.
It was at
But
first.
now I can
Okay.
listen to your podcast and play the game at the same time.
And cook
So,
and also iron the clothes and
Yeah.
so I suppose the next question I have is then, you is it fun, or is it hard work, or is it fun? Is it something you do to relax?
Oh, I definitely do to relax. If it keeps my brain occupied, then I'm not thinking about the other 10,000 things that I have to do.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Mm.
No, very cool.
I mean, obviously it can be frustrating, but I've seen that it's frustrating for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
You're not feeling as special anymore.
No, actually, it's really good when I find out that things are frustrating for everyone and it's not just because of my vision problems.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it's hard enough for us to concentrate with good vision on where we're looking at and what we're doing and not being distracted and everything else. And by the sounds of it, you're applying a whole lot more focus to be able to play the game. But in doing that, you might be also zoning out on a lot of things that could distract you.
Yes.
Things like your husband asking where the shoes are and is dinner on yet, or stuff like that, and you just go, sorry, you made me die.
How did you know that he does that?
I'm psychotic. Psychic.
Don't bleep that one out, please.
No, I don't. That's one of my Freudian slips on purpose. I do it a lot.
Uh,
That's good.
Lady Aine, I must add, I think you are really enjoying the game because I've seen your kilometers. I've seen the amount of time you spend in the game from your kilometers and your scores and your team event scores. And I can truly say you're enjoying. It might be challenging, but your visual impairment doesn't hold you back in enjoying the game. I think you score better than me, to be honest. Uh, even if my vision is, it's good, but I think it's what you enjoy in the game that makes you go on and play the game and lead your team and lead and be a part of the hill climb racing to community.
It really is, and I really love it. It's become a huge part of my life. But I do
Mhm.
have problems because of my vision. Like the first month that I was on your team, I did a lot of kilometers, but I also did a lot of kilometers on my main account. And
Mhm.
then I started having problems with my eyes. So you may have noticed that this month
Mm.
I've had to step away from the phone and I have to remember not to lose my vision because I want to play a game.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Sound advice. Sound
There's
advice.
also the whole like you don't want to lose your vision thing. Like, but no, the game's definitely the main reason.
Can I ask the question, is the vision going to get better or is it going to progressively get worse?
You know what? I really wish that I had an answer to that. I go to a neurological hospital every 3 to 6 months to have every aspect of my vision tested. It's an exhausting process, but I have to do it to see if my vision has stayed stable.
Yep.
Because I can lose it at any point. If I get old tomorrow, I could go blind. And at the beginning of this whole vision issue, I was completely blind for several months, and it was really, really difficult physically, emotionally. It was hard. And now that I do have a bit of vision back, I'm really working hard to maintain my health so that I can keep what I have. But I don't know if it's going to get worse or if I'm going to lose it. It will never get better.
Okay.
And it does fluctuate throughout the day, depending on how hot my body gets, how stressed I am, how tired I am.
Yep.
How about you, Pete? Do you have some questions before we go on to the community questions?
Well, not so much a question, just more of a reminiscence of when you joined Team 3. We were actually recording or just about to or finishing a recording of the podcast, and you were talking to Eva via DM saying that you had a new account that you wanted to join in. What are the odds that you started off with AUSNZ during a podcast and now you're on the podcast? I thought that was a bit of a crazy coincidence.
Well, I think you have your accents to thank for that.
Oh, no. I was hoping it wasn't going to get to this.
I remember I said bring her in the podcast, Eva. I
Yep.
remember saying that. And now you're here. And we're thankful that you're here.
I think it's your strong beard accent, Pete.
My strong beard. I don't have a strong beard.
It's always the beard. It's always the beard.
It is definitely the beard.
Definitely the beard. Yeah, it resonates. It resonates, Pete. Just in case you hadn't picked on that.
Resonates, does it?
Yeah, it does.
Excellent. Well, yeah. So, how have you been enjoying your time in Team 3? Because I see you've grown your GP quite a bit in there.
That's the accents.
Have you found it a struggle with the lower garage, or is it a good challenge?
I mean, it's frustrating. I can't play anything the same way. I'll go on one phone and play the event and figure out the right strategy, and then I have to completely change that strategy for the low GP account. Maybe not even using the same vehicles, but it has been interesting, and I really like puzzles. So it's kind of like that. It's been I don't know, interesting is the only word I can find. But I really have also learned a lot from being in Team 3, just because Pete and JR have a different leadership method than I do, and I really like it. So I've tried to learn and follow some of the things that they do.
Awesome. Thanks for that.
Yes.
We do try.
We are very we are very glad that we have you in Team 3, and thank you for the several pings when I miss joining the match, starting the match.
Well, you know, when everybody starts.
And also your a bit of your input in the game that you share with everyone in Team 3 in the Discord server. So being a true leader, we do that to our team members. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And I think part of being a low GP player, when you've got a high GP account, and your ability to change up the way you play, the vehicles, the parts you use to get a good score, makes you actually a better player in the long run.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're actually looking for alternate ways to do exactly the same thing. And I mean, we all call our second accounts our alts. And I think part of it being an alt account is because sometimes you have to do things in an alternate way to get the same result or get a good result.
Yeah.
So yeah, being able to look at like you said, you like puzzles, and effectively all these levels are just different puzzles, and attacking them in different ways to be able to get through them as quickly as possible, as far as possible, while using the tools we have at our disposal to be able to get the game to play the way we want it. So they are little puzzles. They are little, bounce here, land there, launch yourself into that, launch yourself off that. And then, with an account that doesn't have the same ability, you have the way of going back and changing certain things of it to make it faster in other areas, which gets you a different run, but still quite powerful.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I actually never thought of it that way, as a puzzle. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, they are. The tracks themselves are puzzles, because
Yeah.
the amount of dips and where you land, and
Mhm.
it's just a matter of landing in the right spots. And I always say, most of the daily runs where you're trying to go as fast as possible, it's the first bounce that sets you up for the rest of the run,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you're going that 3% faster because of the first bounce or the first landing, and that 3% faster gets you over the next obstacle, which gets you over the next obstacle, which gets you to the end. It's and yes, it's momentum based and physics based and all that sort of stuff, but there's an element of puzzle which I think is what makes it so um, addictive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a little digression there.
No, it was great.
Yeah, that's all right. So I think we could go on to the community questions.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would like to start. Yeah, I would like to start with my first question. What are your other hobbies other than playing HCR2?
There's other things.
Oh yeah. You didn't know?
Wait, what?
That's an excellent. Yeah.
Well, going back to liking puzzles, I spend some time doing genetic genealogy, and that's taken up a lot of time for me over the past few years. And I was recently given a position at a nonprofit organization in the U.S. as a volunteer to do genetic genealogy for people who are looking for their birth parents. And so I'm
Wow.
really excited about that.
Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. Being able to help.
How do you get involved in something like that? How did you start getting into that?
It's one of those things that just I fell into. It was weird. I knew I was going to come to France for a year to improve my French. And Ancestry had some kind of deal on where they give you 2 weeks free access to their site. And so I thought, I bet I could figure out my family tree in 2 weeks. I just wanted to know where in France the French Canadian part of my family came from. And 2 weeks was not enough. I ended up spending years on it. And yeah, and then when DNA kits became more widely available, I had thousands. Like I think I had almost 4,000 people on my family tree at that point. I decided to do a DNA test, and that I was able to see so much more with the results of my DNA. And then because I had such a large, comprehensive family tree, people that I was related to started messaging me saying, "Okay, I know who my grandparents are, but can you help me find my great grandparents?" And so I looked, and DNA, the genetic genealogy was just coming out as a profession or a hobby or whatever. And so I looked at it and I said, yeah, I think I can. If I just triangulate your DNA, my DNA, and a common ancestor, we can figure that out. And so I started helping people that were related to me in that way. And I listened to a lot of podcasts. So I listened to a lot of stuff about genetic genealogy. And during that podcast, somebody mentioned this society in the US called Search Angels, where they help people to find their birth parents. And I thought, are you kidding me? That would be fantastic. I could do that. So I applied, and unfortunately, they didn't have any spots for people with my qualifications when when I applied, but they said they would, keep me on file. And I thought, yeah, sure, just like everybody, we'll keep your resume on file. But then they reached out to me and asked me for my help. And yeah, I'm very excited.
That's very cool. That is really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That is really cool.
Amazing. Pete, your question?
Yes. I'm actually going to ask one of my own questions. You said earlier your vision is like looking through a straw.
Yes.
Is the rest of that vision that you can't see, is that like a blur or is it dark?
It's neither.
Neither?
It's before I lost my vision, I never would have even thought to ask that question. But it's not. It's just not there. There's nothing.
So it's just blackness.
There's no blackness. There's absolutely no blackness. What I see is, I see my brain processes what I see in exactly the same way that yours does. So I have no idea that there's anything missing. In fact, I had 12 years of losing my vision and I had no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like people who have extreme peripheral vision. They can see well past. They can see well past their cheeks and stuff and all that sort of stuff, but they don't know that they have extreme peripheral vision. They just have
that's
extreme.
what they're used to.
Yes, that's what they're used to. And I think
Yeah.
sight and color are two of the things that intrigue me the most, because no one sees everything the same way you do. Because there's no way you can measure your sight against someone else other than 20/20 vision, which is, you can read something from a distance. No one can explain how you perceive the third dimension, three-dimensional stuff, or two-dimensional stuff, or anything like that. It's all your perspective. It's all your own personal perspective.
It can be measured. I know because I have to sit in this horrific machine all the time to have my vision measured. And so I can see, they'll do a printout for me and I can see what the average person can see and then compare my vision to.
Yes, agreed. But none of us sit in that chair to know how much we can actually see. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
And, the fact that two people could stand side by side looking at exactly the same thing and focus on completely different parts of it. It intrigues me because of my photographer style, my photography background. Because, for most of my early career, all I ever wanted to do was capture everything. I have really wide peripheral vision. I love seeing, everything in the shot, So my go-to lens was a 16-35. I was always shooting, somewhere between 16 and 20 mil, which is, 2 times wider than what you physically see out of your eye. And for a year, I decided to do a challenge, which was, I called it a 135 challenge. I was using a lens that was 5 times closer than, normal vision. So it is very similar to, something like what you see. You're seeing stuff in a tunnel as opposed to seeing everything else around you. And I changed the perspective of how I would photograph stuff, because I was using this longer lens, and using it for a year, a photo a day for a year, helped me get a different perspective on the same scenario, if that makes sense.
That's really cool.
But again, like two people could stand in the same spot with the same equipment, same camera, and walk away with two diverse images, wholly and solely because what they see that attracts their attention is different to what I see.
To go on walks with my husband, and we have that happen all the time, where I'll point something out and he doesn't even understand how I saw that. Sometimes I'll find money on it, and he won't keep walking because he's concentrating on moving forward, and I'm concentrating on what's on the ground in front of me that can kill me.
And if you were to come to Australia, there is lots of things that
everything
can kill you.
Wants to kill you.
Yeah.
Very great stories.
If it walks around in the grass and you're in a forest somewhere, it will try and kill you. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, seeing, one of the things I love doing when I'm on a holiday somewhere, which has been a long time since I've done this, but is just to wander away from the hustle and bustle and look up at stuff that no one looks up at. To just see the stuff that people walk past every single day and don't admire, or don't admire, they don't understand it's even there. Like you said, you find stuff that your husband misses because you're looking for other things, and stumble across the stuff that he's just standing over or stepping over.
hmm
Mm.
I think
Sorry.
that's a really important thing to do. Whenever I'm outside, well, inside too, but especially outside, I'm constantly scanning everything around me. My eyes are constantly moving all over the place to try and get in the most of my surroundings. And so I do tend to see things that others don't see, even though I have a visual impairment.
Yeah. I tend to understand why. I understand why that is. So yeah, that's really cool. As much as it's not because of the fact you have visual impairment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going
wow.
to stop me from walking into some open shutters or tripping over a hole or something.
Fair. All
Yeah,
right. So does that mean it's my question?
it's your
I
question,
believe it
Ian.
is, yeah.
Well, I kind of asked a question that has been asked by 2 or 3 people, so I'm going to give shout outs for that, and then I'll ask a separate question. So, Maury, AUSNZ Maury, shout out to Maury, whose 50th was just yesterday. He's asked the obvious question: how do you play a visual game? Then we've answered that already. A person called IAM has asked, how do you maneuver around a game that specifically requires vision? So I'm not going to ask that. We've already gone past that. AUSNZ Gal has asked, what fact about your vision, or just you, tends to surprise people? We've answered part of that, but I'm sure there are other aspects of you that surprise people. So please share that with us.
Well, I'm surprised all the time about how people react to my vision loss because some people are absolutely incredible and some people are just the opposite. So if I go to a restaurant, sometimes people will, well, mostly they speak to Patrick instead of me and ask if I need a menu. And so I'll answer. I mean, I'm capable of speaking, and I'll say yes, I can see a bit, and so I'll take a menu. Other times they just won't bring a menu for me. They'll just bring one for Patrice. They see the white cane, and people automatically think that I'm blind. And
Yeah.
having a white cane does not mean that the person is completely blind. It's just, for me, the most help the white cane gives me is letting people around me know that I have vision problems. And that gives me a little bit of extra space to walk around. When I do fall or have accidents, it's because I've left the house without my cane, which I do
Yeah.
often to walk dogs.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess the most surprising thing is people's reactions. Sometimes, if I'm standing in line somewhere, people will just very quietly step in front of me.
Oh, and that's when the cane helps. You just smack them in the back of the leg,
Well,
very
you know what?
hard.
I do say I can see you, but smacking people with the cane does happen. There are times
Yep.
where I do pretend that I'm completely blind because I know that if I try to make a verbal response to something somebody just did to me, it's not going to end well. So I'll just,
Yeah.
walk into them with my cane.
Yep.
hmm
Oh, sorry. I had an understanding there was no one in front of me.
Yeah, I had a guy. I was on the sidewalk, and Patrice was with me, and he decided to park his car on the sidewalk. Like he actually drove up onto the sidewalk and blocked my path.
Oh,
And
wow.
I accidentally took a golf swing at his car. And so he got out and started screaming at me. And my response was, "I'm sorry, I didn't see you there."
I was just practicing my golf swing right here, and your car just happened to be there.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that's terrible. Like, we can laugh at it now, but that's the fact that someone thinks they can get away with it is just,
Mm.
yeah.
I try very hard to use humor to get through my day.
Yeah. JR, your question.
Yeah, my question is more on the game, and this is from Brandon. I would like to ask, what is your favorite vehicle in HCR2, and what is the best food in your country?
My favorite vehicle is the muscle car. I absolutely love how fast that thing can go.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
very cool car.
it's a really good car.
Yeah.
It's one of my new favorites, that's for sure.
The first year that I was here, um, I was my thought process was I need to taste everything because I'm never going to come back here. And that was a bad idea because I gained a lot of weight. They have so much cheese. Like if you go to the grocery store, they have both sides of an entire aisle are filled with different kinds of cheese. I know
That's
some of you are fans
dangerous.
of cheese.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and the bread, it's a custom here to go to the bakery and get a fresh baguette every day, and that is dangerous.
Yeah. Could I just quickly, while we're on the subject of cheeses, what is your favorite cheese?
My favorite cheese is called Tom du Berger, and it's a Berger the Shepherd, and so it's a semi soft, like it's between hard and soft, and it's made by either the cows or a mix of cows and goats on someone's farm.
Oh, okay. That's different. Sounds nice,
It's
though.
really good.
Yeah. I do like a nice soft cheese. I actually had some today with lunch. It's delish. I'm sorry, continue with your other question answering. I butted in there.
Did you have the best? Did you have an answer for the best food in your country? A very specific food or something like that?
I think it would be really hard to choose. I mean, the cheese here is really good, and the bread is really good. The pastries are very, very different from what I would eat in Canada. I don't know. I think probably my favorite dish, complete meal
Yeah.
to make and eat is like
Mm-hmm.
is a blanquette of either veal or chicken or turkey. I don't even know how to explain it. It's thicker than a stew. It's served with rice or pasta, but it's made with a base of white wine and cream, and it's probably really bad for your health, but it's really delicious.
As most delicious things are.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very cool. Do you have another question, Pete, or should we go on to Eva?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Okay. Yeah, go
Um,
on.
there's a two-part question, but I'm only going to ask one part from Raining Blood. Why? Yeah, why did she abandon Canada? Like, why do you live in France now?
For a year, I added an extra year to my degree to come here to improve my French because my master was French and my minor was anthropology, archaeology. And the goal was to be able to teach social studies in French. And so I really wanted to improve my French so I wouldn't come across as, somebody just learned it as a second language like I am. So I came on an exchange. I picked this city, the city of Lyon, because they had the best anthropology program in France. So I just took all of my courses, anthropology, archaeology, in French, and then lived my life in French. And the goal was to improve my French. And I very quickly met a Frenchman who caught my attention and ended up staying.
That'll always happen.
So it was love that kept you there, but work that got you there.
Well, we've got a couple of questions from Cap A, who's a regular contributor to the questions. So big shout out to Cap A. Please keep asking questions. He's asked things like, why do you play the game, which we've already covered, and a couple other things. But he's asked about favourite vehicle when you go to time attack track. But there's two things that I wanted to ask from him that he's asked. And one of them is, if you could change one thing in the game, what would it be?
Look at the ads. I can't stand the ads.
There's a thing for that. There's a thing that you can do to get rid of ads.
Yeah, pay for the game. Well, I just hate the fact that you just get that. You get the same ad over and over and over again. It's like, mate, I didn't buy it the first time. You keep shoving it down my face is not going to help. your cause.
No, but what's worse is if you already have it. They're like, "Hey, you should get WhatsApp." No, because I already have it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
There's
then
one
he's also
specific ad that really grinds my gears. It's what is it called? Crush or rather.
raw. Now I'm going to bleep out because they are not getting free publicity on this podcast. All right.
This particular ad, it lasts about 45 seconds, and then you have to wait another 10 seconds for the little cross to show up. Yeah, it's just one of those really annoying ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to record it.
the other part of his question from Cap A is your personality in Discord the same as in real life?
To the huge embarrassment of my husband, it absolutely is.
Excellent.
To all the listeners, you need to find out. You need to be on a server with Lady Aine. She is hilarious. She's amazing. She's funny. She's witty. All of the above. And a really, really awesome person to talk to. So, by all means, if you've got an opportunity to be on a team with her or be on one of her servers, then go your hardest because it's
Thanks, Ava.
worthwhile. No, my pleasure.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, you're up.
Yes, I'm going to ask one of my own questions. How do you manage going for a run? Do you need a seeing eye dog, or do you just have your cane to help you?
No. Walking is hard. And I discovered that I liked running because there's a dog that I've been walking every day for the past 6 years. He's not my dog, but, he kind of is now. And when he sees squirrels, he takes off after them. And
Yes.
obviously, I don't see them the same way that he does. And so being attached to him on the leash, I've learned to start running because otherwise I'll lose my arm. And that's how I discovered that.
What sort of dog is that? It must be big.
Yeah, he's a male golden retriever.
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah,
Gorgeous dogs.
so that's how I discovered that I liked running. And so then I started running. I just walk the same paths. I have different areas that I walk in depending on the weather, the temperature, but they're always the same areas. So then I kind of have an idea of what to expect, unless, a tree branch has fallen or somebody's left a shutter open. There's always variables, but I try to always go in the same places. So running, when I run, I'm always looking at the ground. I'm not looking at what's in front of me because, well, I can only really choose one. I'll kind of move my eyes up and down so that I know, okay, it's clear or there's people up ahead, but it's very difficult. A few years ago, I had been running every day and I was getting better and better at it. And then I tripped over a tree trunk and did a couple of flips and ripped up the skin on my shoulder and broke a couple of ribs. And that was during COVID. So the doctor that treated me was in a complete hazmat suit and everything.
Oh, God.
And it took me a really, really long time to run outside again. I got a gym membership and I started running on a treadmill, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, it's not, is it?
They say that running on a treadmill will get you nowhere.
Yeah. Patty did get me a Garmin watch so that I can call for help at the push of a button. And it will
That's
send
nice.
a map to his phone with an active, it's got an active GPS link so that even if I get up and start walking again, he'll know where I am and where to come get me.
So it's a bit
So
like
it gives me
Find My Phone, but it's Find My Lady Aine.
exactly. It
Yeah.
gives me a little bit more confidence because I'm always scared that I'm going to fall again. And I had a dog with me. He wasn't on a leash. And I always feel safer when he's with me. It's not like he can do anything. But when I fell, he stopped running and he came right to me and he stayed right beside me, touching me until I had the energy to get up. And that, it did help a little bit. But the watch gives me that extra bit more.
Oh, very cool. That reminds me of a wedding I shot a while ago. I was in Adelaide. I was living in Brisbane at the time. I flew to Adelaide. I get to the wedding, and the morning of the wedding, as I'm getting out the car to go up to the bride's motel room apartment, my glasses broke in the middle on the bridge.
Oh.
and my seeing glasses broke in the middle of the bridge, and they just fell to the ground as two separate parts. And I go up to the room. I'm not wearing glasses, and I'm saying to the bride, look, I can still see. I've changed the diopter in the back of the camera, so if I'm looking through the camera, everything's clear, and don't worry, But we had to shoot outside and all that sort of stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I had some sunglasses in my camera bag that were prescription, so I put these sunglasses on, but they were quite big, black, thick sunglasses. So I kind of look like, and we moved from the outdoor into in the public library in Adelaide. And while we're in the public library in Adelaide, I'm walking around with my sunglasses on, with two cameras over each shoulder, and I looked like a blind photographer. It really looked like I was a blind photographer, and the only thing missing was a cane or a guide dog. So it would have been good to have a dog at the time who was just sitting next to me and barking. Every time he barked, I'd just turn around and just randomly shoot at stuff. And if anybody asked, I'd say, well, the dog helps me, look at stuff, and I just shoot whenever he barks. So here we are, But it was one of those days. I now
You know
have
what? I'm all for pranks like that. So I am on the waiting list for a guide dog, and I will let you borrow him to pull that prank. That would be great.
Well, it's funny because I now have a spare pair of glasses in my bag, because if I opened up my camera bag, there is stuff that I pull out and people go, why do you have that? Why do you have one of those? And the story behind why I carry a spare pair of glasses in my bag is just one of the funniest. It's just, I honestly look like a blind photographer. There's a photo of me. I'll share it. I'll pull it up and I'll share it, because
Yes.
it is quite funny.
Yes. We look forward to that, Eva.
JR, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have my two other questions. What is your biggest challenge in managing your team? And do you have any pet peeves within the game? Something that you really find very annoying?
My biggest challenge is that for 1 week a month, I try not to make any decisions or any big speeches, because I know that I'm an emotional roller coaster. And my biggest pet peeve is when people fill up the chat with question marks.
I've got one here from Goose. As an avid podcast listener, which has been your favourite episode?
Am I allowed to pick all of them?
Yes, we would love that. That is the best.
I listen to a lot of podcasts because it's easier for me than reading. And I started listening to your podcast when X announced in the Club of Leaders that he was going to be a guest on your podcast. I was like, what podcast? And when do I get to hear your accent? Because for those who haven't figured out, I absolutely love accents. So that was the first episode I ever heard, because I wanted to hear X's accent. And then I heard all of your accents, and then I was hooked.
Excellent. Yeah, I love to hear people's accents as well.
I don't think I have an
It's
accent.
very interesting. You do have an accent.
I like Eva's accent.
My accent?
Yeah, and your sexy voice.
Oh, no.
But Pete is my favorite. So is that confusing?
You see, Pete, it come out. You are the favourite. You are the favourite, not me. You. There's no 50-50.
I did say you'd just have to wait.
I knew it.
Wait and find out.
Yeah.
But Lady Aine, do you have a sorry?
You know that JR and I listen to your podcast as we're trying to fall asleep, right?
Oh no! Before I became, can I just say this? For Lady Aine's, how do I say it? Knowledge or something. Before I became a podcast host, okay, from episode 1 up to episode 17, I listened to the podcast repeatedly. Okay, while I was cooking, while I was doing the laundry, while I was playing the game. Right? So I feel like I have, they keep me company in whatever chore or whatever I do in the day. So
So it's just
that
like
was me.
hanging out with your mates.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So but when I became a part of the podcast, I didn't feel so comfortable at first because this is public speaking, and English is not my first language, but I felt comfortable with them as Pete and as Eva and as GTR because I have listened to the
Yeah.
podcast from episode 1. So, yeah. And here I am.
Here you are.
Yeah. Okay, so whose turn is it to ask a question?
Eva.
Eva. Okay, Eva. You go ask a
Okay.
question. Mhm.
Tessa has asked a question. One of my favorite people in the game, outside of the AUSNZ community. She asked the question. Sorry, thanks for asking the question, Tessa. Have you ever had any HCR2 issues due to the fact that you're a female and due to the fact that you're impaired? I think I'd like to hear more about the first half than the second half of that question.
Okay, I did see that question, and I really liked the question, but I had to put a lot of thought into that. I think the biggest challenge that I have is all in my head. It's trying to keep up with the boys.
Yep, I get you. And I think part of that, and me tongue in cheek calling myself Eva, was the opposite of that. Going, well, I'll call myself Eva. It's an acronym for every vehicle available, but they'll think that they're up against a female, and then a female will beat them, and it'll be a bit of fun. So, I mean, there was that whole thing as well. And I mean, when I first joined Team Cat with Tessa, she was under the understanding I was a female to start with, which in itself was a laugh. But in saying that, I think you're right. I think we burden ourselves with what we think, our perception of what we need to do to play the game well, and sometimes we get hooked into that, whether it's male, female, all of the above.
Yeah.
This is from Minstrel. So shout out to Minstrel, who has been a very, very excellent guest on our podcast. And she
Yeah.
says, how many holes do you have? Oh, oops. She said it's the wrong episode. But here is her question to you, Lady Aine. For the non-adult, non-female listeners out there, can you please describe in words the full range of emotion evoked when kids call us bruh? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know.
Bruh. Yeah. It's something the kids are all saying at the moment.
So my reaction is, what is your problem? I'm not your bra. I'm not your friend. I'm not even the same age as you. Just no. You need to, when you're speaking to somebody that you don't know, you need to at least be civil and maybe perhaps show a bit of respect.
Take it easy, bruh.
And at that point, Lady Aine hung up.
I have been called bro before because my name is Jack in game.
Yes.
Yes, I have been called several times as bro.
Bro.
So that's crazy. That's crazy. Whose turn is it? Pete?
Right. So when people say that in the AUSNZ server or on Team 3, I tend not to comment because I'm not a leader there. But when somebody says it on my team server or on my game chat on my team, I do tend to freak out again because I'm not a man. I'm not your. I don't know. I hate that so much.
I take offense to the word boomer, especially if someone aims it at me. I'm not a boomer. I'm not a boomer, and I think it's one of the worst words you could ever describe someone who has sculpted the horizon, sculpted the country, sculpted where we are right now. And to just turn around and say, "Oh, you don't know how to use technology. You must be a boomer." That is
Yeah,
nasty. That is
I
just
don't
nasty.
like that. I don't like that. There's an emoji on the server that
Yeah.
says
Okay,
boomer.
boomer.
I don't. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that either.
Mm. Oh
But
well.
yeah. Oh well. Same response. Oh
Mm-mm.
well. Eva?
There was a question from APMO7. He's asked, when did you start playing HCR2? We've kind of covered that already, but thanks for the question. And uh, Ghost has asked the question, how long have you been
I
listening
was hoping you'd ask Ghost question.
and very clearly enjoying the podcast. But by the sounds of it, we've already answered that as well. You've been listening for a while. And so do you have a favorite podcast host is the question I was going to ask.
I don't think that's a fair question because I'm a sucker for accents and I love all of your accents. And even though Pete and Eva are both Australian, your accent is different.
Yeah, it's because of where we brought up. I'm originally from South Australia, so we say dance and
Mhm.
Garage.
garage, and we call it a mall. So we have this slightly more British.
Slang.
No, it's kind of slightly more British upmarket English that was taught to us as kids. And I mean, it's so subtle, it's not funny, but and Pete is just Pete, the beard accent, comes
Yeah.
through.
Just a bogan.
It's not I did not say bogan. I did not say bogan. I did not mean bogan.
But it's okay. It's fine. I know where I am.
JR, do you have a question?
This question is from Flip. And Flip is from your server, Lady Aine, right? He is?
Flip from everywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, anyways, he says, last year you finished first place in the giant enemy clock event. Was that extra special given to your visual impairment, and did you have any celebration? And the second question is, are you able to play the new Cuptown tracks with a dark background and low contrast for the hidden obstacles?
I think there was a wheelie track in there, and I absolutely love the wheelie tracks. I'm not good at them, but I do love them. I think that just I had some luck on that wheelie track and probably got a really, really good score, put me ahead of everybody. I don't think it was a skill at all. It was more like I haven't made the podium very often. I have a lot of trouble with that new track. I did try to play it over and over to try to memorize it, but it's moving pieces as well. I don't think the trouble is the dark background because I have a dark background on a lot of things that I use, especially my phone. The black background with the white writing is a lot easier for me. But there's something about that cup that's really hard.
I don't think it has anything to do with.
But I am happy to know that it's not just me and my vision. It's really hard for everyone.
Yeah, it's a really, really hard cup.
I'm still yet to complete the third track on that cup. I haven't finished it once.
Okay, very good. I think we've covered all the
I've
questions.
got a quick question.
You
Well,
have
it's not
one
really a quick one. This
Okay.
one's from Fiery, and it's a 3-part question. I'll ask them one by one. He says, I've seen you around in a few servers, but do you have a favourite to hang out in?
I'm not sure how to answer that. I guess it depends what's going on at time in each server. I'm on a lot of servers, and most are English servers, but I am on the AUSNZ server, and theirs is in French. So, I think every server has their qualities.
So I know you like to hang out in certain channels on certain servers, but is there one you spend more time in?
If you're talking about those specific channels, yeah, I do spend more time in the Club of Leaders one, but that's more because I'm afraid to speak in their other channels because X is really strict about language and innuendo in any channel other than. Even if I have a question or a track, I'll put it in that one because I know that I can't always control what comes out of my mouth.
Yeah, that's fair. The second part to the question, is there anyone in the HDR2 community that you look up to or inspires you?
Don't necessarily look up to anyone, but there are quite a lot of people that I admire for different reasons. So here's my time to give a bunch of shout outs, I guess. There's Squawk, who I call Man, and Horner. I admire them for their compassion, especially their ability to see slight changes in my behavior and send me a message saying, "Are you okay?" I would like to be more like that. And there's X from Club of Leaders and Flip. I admire them for their IT skills. I can send them questions if I don't understand something, especially if the younger kids are talking about something. Recently, there was a discussion about, I guess I probably shouldn't even mention it, but something the kids were doing that would have them banned from the game. And I didn't even understand what they were talking about. So I was able to ask those questions and read good responses in a way that I could understand. And
that's a good quality to have, isn't it?
There's a biting dude who's also known as Baby Abyss. I'm going to point out that she's a girl and come from Alliance Quebec. They're really impressive with stats, which I will not touch because I'm just not a math person. And so they bring a lot to our teams and they enjoy doing it. There's Raining Blood because he's able to keep up with my smart sense of humor. Captain A, I'm a really big fan because he's not 18 yet. And the maturity that he shows in the servers that he's on and the way he makes his comments and helps the other players, I find that incredible for somebody who's an adult.
Same. I assumed that he was in his mid-20s when I first met him, but he wasn't even 18. So, yeah, he's doing very well.
And then I kind of mentioned this before, but Pete and JR, because their leadership methods are different than mine, but I really admire that. JR is just a magician, collages, so I find that super impressive.
I try to be consistent.
Yes.
Yes.
And I appreciate all your effort.
Yes, no problems.
There is one more question from Goose. And he asked the question, how has being a member of Club of Leaders help you lead your team?
It's given me different perspectives, which is always appreciated, but it's also given me a little bit more confidence knowing that everybody goes through the same difficulties. And I really like that if I do have a leadership problem or a leadership question, I can bounce it off other people who may have different than I do, but also who may be a little bit calm because they're not part of the situation. So I find the server very helpful.
Ah, cool.
Yes, very much. So, at this point, we would like to do the quiz, the Never Have I Ever HillClimb Racing edition quiz. So, there are a few questions and 1 point for each one that you have never done before. Okay, Lady Aine, are you ready?
Yes.
Eva, are you ready also?
Yes, I'm ready to take score.
Yes, let's do this. First question, have you ever reached the maximum GP?
Yes.
Oh, yes, you have. Okay. Next question, have you ever achieved the maximum 15K score in a track?
Yes, I have one time.
Very cool, very cool. Have you ever finished the road to legendary?
Yes, I have.
Oh, very nice. Next is, have you ever started your own team?
No.
No, you haven't. Okay. And next question is, have you ever spent real money in the game?
Yeah, yes, I have.
Yes, you have. Yes. Number 6, have you ever participated in any HCR2 tournament?
No, I am definitely not good enough for that.
Well,
Okay.
I
Number
reckon you
7,
are. You're getting 15K scores, so
you must
I
try.
think you should have a go at least once.
Uh-huh. Okay. Next question. Have you ever thought of giving up playing the game?
Yes, there was one time when I was having a really hard time getting my point across. And sometimes it's complicated when you have, you guys know this, when you have more than one team trying to work together as one team. And I was really trying hard to get my point across, and I think I was being misunderstood because maybe I have a different perspective, but I have that mom perspective where everybody to be okay and everybody to be happy. And I think
Yeah.
some of the other were looking at it from the we need to win perspective. And
Yeah.
for a second, I ended up walking away from the conversation because I didn't want to say anything that I was going to regret. And
Yeah.
while I was trying to calm down, I thought, you know what? I am not going to walk away because my vision is to make sure that everybody on the team is taken care of. And if I walk away, then that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is, have you ever posted a suggestion in the Fingersoft server?
No,
No, you haven't. Next is, have you ever reported a cheater to the Fair Play server?
I never.
You have never. Okay, next question. Have you had your account flagged for cheating?
No, I have not.
You have not. Next is, have you ever been banned in any HDR or the Fingersoft server?
Once I got a timeout on Club of Leaders because I used a very bad word, but other than that, no.
Well, not really banned, but a timeout.
Yeah, but that's the
Yeah.
Club of Leaders is not the HCR on any
Yeah.
HCR. Okay, so
Yeah.
timeout banned. Nah, no, I'm going to give you a 1.
Okay. And the last question is, have you ever done a face reveal on any Discord server?
Privately count?
This server doesn't count.
No, I mean that's privately, like in a direct message.
No.
No. A team server. Like everyone can see.
In that case, no, not until you
No.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
post picture of me.
No, we're and that photo we took, we're not posting publicly. It's just for us.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that's 12 questions,
Mhm.
and I can say one thing: you are you have the same score as Fingersoft Reese. So that's a 7, which is better than the other 2 Fingersoft staff players. But not
Yay.
anywhere near boss, which was at 3. So unfortunately, you haven't won anything, and had you won something, you wouldn't have won anything either. So we just really appreciate the fact that you've had the ability to play the game and have a laugh with us about these questions. So thanks for playing. Thanks for being part of it. And the insight to being partially banned from the Club of Leaders. I'm now intrigued as to why, but we'll leave that for another episode, maybe.
Yeah. We leave a few questions for another episode. Uh, anyway, so I would like to personally thank you, Lady Aine, for coming on the podcast and for being a friend. We chat on DM, and you have um like you were offering your shoulder to cry on if I have something personal that I go through. So thank you very much for that. And looking forward to spending more time with you on Discord, in game, and in Team 3, and just having you to talk to you and getting to know more about you is an amazing experience. So thank you very much from myself.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you very much for one, joining the AUSNZ community, and joining in on our little podcast. It's been great to get to know you and race alongside you. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm just going to say it was great to bump into you on the OnlyFans and Club of Leaders. Thanks for the invite to Team Canada. Oh, sorry, to Canada, which led me to a month with Team Canada.
Yeah.
And I am looking forward to racing with you on Canada next month. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing some of the lines and all that sort of stuff. I wanted to also say thanks for your time and for joining. It was a suggestion. It was passed in conversation, suggestion of hey, do you want to join our low ranked team and all that sort of stuff, and it's just gone on from there. So I wanted to say it's been really nice to have you on the server, really nice to have you on AUSNZ server, and to interact with you on the other servers that I'm on as well. So yeah, really looking forward to racing with you next month.
Yeah. So before we go,
Me too. Racing with Pete and JR's team has been really great. I've loved the team, loved the server, being with you guys. It makes me smile, and that's important. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I was really excited. I think I told everybody. So yeah, thanks for that.
yes,
Thank you
Cordenta.
for telling everybody and get the word out.
Can't wait for the release of this episode. But before we go, would you like to give a shout out to anyone else in your team, in your Discord community?
Well, I think I probably should give a shout out to Patty, for having me start playing the game. Maybe not for the right reasons, but I've met so many wonderful people, and definitely the people on the Canadian group of teams there have become like family to me.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast, and thank you to all our listeners who brought in their questions. And on behalf of Eve and Pete, thank you, everybody. See you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks everybody for
Bye.
listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and look forward to seeing your questions on the YouTube channel. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy the podcast.
And see you all
Bye, everybody.